Hello. This is the Mr.Nobody podcast. What's on your mind? What is your mind? So, if you listen to my pod thing, my thingcast, you may recall that I got high. I found some weed on the street, really high grade, in a tiny little bag. And here's what I did. After consuming this small bag, took about a week, I asked a friend from the north of me who had really strong marijuana to send me some, which he did. And I smoked weed for 30 days. Or thereabouts. Who's counting? And I thought we might break that down together today. Just because I think weed is the ultimate gateway drug.
But everybody isn't like you.
I know everybody isn't like me. Maybe everybody isn't like me, but I bet we're pretty close. The way we fiend over weed is probably pretty similar. So, it started with a little bit of smoking and quickly progressed over a few days to my baseline, which is, I don't know, getting high every hour, every 2 hours, every 3 hours. It's kind of like maintaining a steady ride on weed. Just like any drug, like cigarette, where you get like that stupid fucking jitter. You have to have another and another. It's the same thing with weed, like it's an incrementally increasing proposition. At least if we're anything alike. My brother, my sister. I didn't tell my wife that I was doing this. Initially out of secrecy, or I don't want to say embarrassment. Maybe there is some embarrassment involved, but it was just, I didn't want anybody.
You're not supposed to do it.
I didn't want anybody telling me what I was supposed to do. And she knows where I'm at with how shitty I think my son's death was, how shitty I think all escapism or drug abuse or alcohol abuse is. Just having lived through enough of it, enough relationships, enough friendships, and enough chapters of myself doing it, to see that it's bullshit. What do I mean by bullshit? It's like when Groucho Marx declared that religion is the opiate of the masses. The masses is the opiate of religion. Opium is the religion of the masses. Or something to that effect. What a brilliant statement. What a terrific guy. Because it keeps you docile, right? Religion keeps you docile. It keeps you thinking you have the answers, so therefore you don't seek higher knowledge. You're in a paradigm. You're under an umbrella. And anything outside of that umbrella. Opium is the religion of the masses. It is rejectable. He didn't say opium, he said opiate. Is there a difference? It's an anomaly, in fact. I'll have to ask Harpo Marx. But how do I explain my desire to get high? Yeah. That's a great question. I finally did tell my wife, because she smelled weed. She was like, God, is that you? And we're standing at the front window looking out at the city street, and I said, no, it's the kid 2 doors down, which it was. The funny thing is it was the kid 2 doors down, but I had just gotten high moments before. I didn't smell anymore because I do all that stupid shit. I brush my teeth, I wash my hands. Rub an orange all over your face. Now, hold on a second. A short time later, she entered into my little studio here. I said, I have to tell you something. She said, what? I have started smoking weed. What? She took it well, I suppose. She was upset. You lied to me. No, I didn't lie to you, because technically, that wasn't me. That was stinking like fucking skunk. It was somebody else. But I have been doing this. And lying by omission. And there you go. Lie if you can. And I said, I'm going to finish the amount of marijuana that I have, because that is what I am choosing to do for my guinea pig experiment using myself. How foggy can I make my brain? I'm going to scan my creative output, my intellectual output, my daily motivation, my creative
But everybody
thoughts,
isn't like you.
and see how it works. Yeah. See how that works. And the way it worked for me, I start smoking a little bit after breakfast, and I stop by before bedtime, and I do that the next day, and the next day. Until the weed is gone. I did know one guy who was so disciplined about his hash smoking and his marijuana smoking that he would do it on Thursdays or once a month or something. I was like, how the fuck are you doing that? How do you do it? I couldn't do it. I have the same problem, and it is a problem, with alcohol, with beer, which is my choice of alcohol. Where I can't have one, where you have an occasional beer, I start turning every day into an occasion. And sometimes several times a day. And like you, I hate drunk people. And I realize that you're a proto-alcoholic, man. One of those proto-junkies. I'm a drunk. Proto-drunk. Junkies and drunkies. I hide it. I lie. Flunkies. So those behaviors, those druggy behaviors, are there, with weed, dope. I should tell you now that I have finished my pot smoking by choosing to do so. I didn't like it after a while, what it was doing to me. So you'll hear me speaking about it in the past tense. In the past, we lived in tense. I can imagine being a Neanderthal and discovering mushrooms or weed. It must have been... Am I supposed to do it?
You're not supposed to do it.
Pretty fucking sweet. What's the big fucking deal? All our bullshit doesn't make it legit. I'm all for medical marijuana. For people, animals, whatever. Whatever. But you know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about straight up weed smoking that keeps you down and makes you less than you can be. The effect of the marijuana was interesting in that I would use it to play guitar or to compose and decompose. Or is it that once I got high, I immediately gravitated towards like, oh, I gotta play the guitar right now, you know? Or how about this tune? Or what if I did this? And weed does not make you a better artist or producer. It just makes you more forgiving about your mediocre shit. And I don't hate that about weed, like that it inspires reaching for something creative. But I can't say I actually produced anything above and beyond my normal creative output. In fact, I can tell you that long-term use of weed makes you not go as far as you can go. It does not make you go deep. Quite the opposite. And over time, it would become much less. That's been my experience. Like, I would just... It's shallow. Be smoking enough on a daily level that it just made me dopey. Dopey. Like the dwarf. And I'm a lightweight. I can't smoke that much or drink that much. But it's the accumulation of it, the doping of the human animal. The killing of the creative. And it doesn't matter, just that amount, for me, turns me into a dopey dope fiend. Yeah, I find my behaviors to get really druggy, scrapey, dopey, hiding dope fiend, smoking out the window, just that shit. My wife asked me, is it because you're in pain because of the cat dying? Nope. Because I like numbing myself, like escaping. Is it because you're depressed about your son? No. Nope. It's just getting high. Although I am depressed about my son. Sidestepping the moment. Being a drug addict myself, the moment that's really here makes it hard for me to honor him and myself. My wife even asked me, like, how can you be doing this? You're always talking shit about people that are fucking high. I watched a guy smoking fentanyl and saying, right after he's smoking it, like, I hate myself. I could have been so many things, and instead, I can't get away from this. I had to answer that for myself, and I feel the same way for my marriage. I feel the same way about weed. It's like one of those things it's fun. It takes you out of your moment into some other unknown moment, but it truly wastes my potential and yours. It's like taking the Star Trek Orgasmatron transporter to a planet that you have no idea where you're going to land. What could be more fun? And pot is rather predictable, but it's still, you don't know which fantasy you're going to use to waste your time here. Not your natural state. It's a state of saying,
Search.
Fuck it.
Search. Search.
Painkiller. Brain killer. I think that's a better term for it. Yep. Most of the people that are getting high are not in pain. They're just in brain. Including myself. Ironically, I did have an injury for the entire month that I smoked weed. It had nothing to do with my pain. Saying so would have been a lame excuse. At least for me. There's just a sense of fuck it. Fuck it. You know, like, fuck it. I'm gonna do this. Fuck it. I'm just gonna skate over the world. See what happens. Let's see what happens if I liquefy a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, 4 decades. I can smell the weed on my other jiu-jitsu training partners. It comes out in their sweat. I smelled it today. I wonder if it came out in mine. Yeah, I wonder. Or they're like, hey, I wonder. Mr.Nobody's getting high because we can smell it. But I smell it on other people. I don't judge them. I don't judge them, really. I don't go, oh, you're less of a person. I think less of them. Or do I? I only know that in my own experience, I bullshat my way through a lot of life. Jobs, a lot of conversations, a lot of relationships, I sidestepped many beautiful moments. No wonder my son killed himself with drugs. Weed doesn't actually make you deeper, it makes you more shallow. It makes you dumber. Surf on top. He could have picked up any number of my behaviors or proclivities. Early on, the weed made me hallucinate, which was weird. I was a little concerned with that, but it subsided as I built up a tolerance. I used to tell my son, smoke a little bit of weed or drink a beer, but don't get into it. It's fucking limiting. I told my wife I wasn't going to hide it from her, just like I'm going to do this, and she was like, and I limited it until I didn't limit it. I think she was jealous in the sense that she said, like, I don't have something like that I can jump on to avoid reality, avoid everything, avoid it, avoid life, avoid my problems, my state, all that shit. And she's right. It's a crutch. Can you see how drug dealers have us by the balls? We are a species that is enthralled with escapism, and they've got some really, really powerful shit. And all they have to do is get it into the kids. So I'm not moralizing about it as much as I'm saying, what is the benefit? Yeah, what's the benefit of it compared to the detriment? Do you want your 15-year-old? How much does it give you? Your 14-year-old, as opposed to how much does it take away? Your 13-year-old, and before you say fuck it, I don't care. Your 12-year-old, think about it. What if the person you loved was high all the time? Not here. Not even there. There's no there. That one guy who was so parsimonious with his dope is the only person I know I've ever known who's been that way. Everybody else, fiends, smoke them. Smoke it all. I use the word escapism because it's absurd, because all you're escaping is life. It's about escapism. It's about death. We get the privilege of living just to kill ourselves with drugs. As if here is subpar to there. Yeah. We don't know where there is. We just think here is subpar, so we go there. Yeah. And then wherever there ends up being for us is better than here. It's not better than here, but it's a way to escape here. So that's interesting. Escapism is very immediate. At different points in my life, I've been obsessed with weed, like the strong green smell, the sex, the high that says, fuck it. I had a girlfriend who could only, I don't fucking care, have sex while we were super high. And we just gonna drift from this moment to the next one. I know it's like that for fucking heroin, and fentanyl, and all this other bullshit that's killing humanity. It could be a medium for being outside of your intellect. Okay. It's not spiritual. It's not anything but dumbing yourself down.
Search. 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 Search.
Weakening my connection to the power of every moment, the beauty of every moment. I don't know. If you're getting high, you're probably not hanging with this chat, but I want to support you in thinking about it. Yeah, because it is fun. That's the tricky part, but limiting. It is fun. You know what isn't so fun about weed, though, is, tell me, the preoccupation with it, the way people are when they're high, the effects, trying to pretend they are not high or functioning at a diminished capacity. It's not the momentary highness, it's really the shit it turns your life into. And long-term use of marijuana, let's say, I don't know, a few months and more, a few minutes, of that kind of regular use that I do. It's got us by the balls.
Zoom in.
It really lowers the IQ, the intelligence of a person, a significant amount. And we need every bit of juice, brain juice we have. And not everybody is like you. Initially, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, saying fuck it is fun. Fuck your kids, fuck your job, fuck your society, fuck your world, fuck yourself, basically. You get some reprieve from the other nonsense in your life. It's just a lot of lying. The bullshit in your life that's heaped upon you. Subpar. That's what it was for me. It was a way of escaping my family, my town, jerking off. Yeah. It is kind of like masturbating.
But everybody isn't like you.
I know everybody isn't like me, but I bet we're more alike than we are less alike. If you zoomed out and aliens were looking at us, they would be like, oh, look, another earthling under the effects of marijuana. A stoner. My son and I used to discuss human flourishing on an individual level. Like, what is it that helps us rather than hurts us? What would make us better, stronger, faster, smarter, better players, better fighters, better students? It certainly wasn't weed or booze. It just makes you dumb. It makes you foggy. It makes you grouchy. I shouldn't say you. It makes me grouchy. In the sense that it alienates me from other people. I have more of a maintenance relationship with weed than I do with people. With my own reasoning or even emotional sifting. How about people? It presupposes that those relationships don't really matter because we're not really here for them. When I went to visit my son and his roommates would be getting high and there would be like a bong with fucking weed in it, and, you know, whatever. But I would say to him, like, I don't want you to do that, you know? I don't want you to, like, become one of them. Turn it into that. Become a fucking pothead. Drug addict with weed. Or anything. Why be dependent on anything for your moods? It doesn't make you better. It makes you worse. We have other things to do with our lives. Am I supposed to do it?
You're not supposed to do it. You're not supposed to do it.
I don't think it should be illegal, but I do think it should be talked about honestly. How it liquefies your brain cells. And what it's doing to the brains of fucking teenagers, oh my God. And it's your training wheel high, how this is liquefying the brain cells. It's a training wheel addiction. So many people who are justifying it with their gummies and their laws and their, you know, it's stupid. That's why I say it's bullshit. It's equivocation. It's lying. Make it legal, but don't lie about it to yourself. And all the heroin and fentanyl dealers, those assholes that are those fucking killers lined up around those murderers, they're all smoking that weed and selling that weed along with the heroin and the fentanyl. That is correct. It's all part of it. And every time there's a bust where there's like serious fentanyl, heroin, meth, ruggy busts, it's all weed too. High-grade marijuana seems to be part of it. They use it, they leverage it, they soften you up with weed. And I think it grooms kids to say, like, well, what's stronger? Where do I go from here? It grooms them to say, fuck it. It makes people depressed, too, because you're not dealing with your problems and they begin to mount. Yep. And they get more complicated because time goes by and you're not here for shit. You're there for shit. You can't solve anything when you're high. And then your problems are so big that you can lie to yourself. Getting high or being high is, you could tell yourself how great you are, how much talent you have, is an answer. How victimized you are, how little of the pie you're getting, of sorts. Weed is really good for that kind of wound-licking, excuse creation. Maybe it is medication. One of the reasons I stopped vaping is because I was walking to the subway and there was this kid who could have only been 15 or 14 sitting on the bench between the busy city streets, the shitty streets. The shitty streets. And he was vaping, holding a vape, like a jewel, which is tobacco. He was holding it like a jewel. That's what it looked like, could have been anything. And he was hitting that thing like a fucking vacuum cleaner, sucking on it. And I had to wait for the light, and I just cast my eyes down at him, thinking about my son, and looking at this kid, beautiful kid, just fucking dying inside. Like a rat. In an experiment, melting his brain, sucking as hard as he could on this thing. Like the monkey they gave morphine that would just keep banging on the fucking bell to get more. I couldn't say anything. It was never enough. I didn't say anything. Because you were the same thing. It's a gateway drug. You're a hypocrite. Just like cigarettes. Yep. It's bullshit. How sad. They used to love life. It makes us unavailable to each other and to ourselves. I used to tell my son, go ahead, get high once in a while, but don't let it take over your fucking life.
You're not supposed to do it.
It supports a murder industry and a self-murder industry. I'm sorry, son, if I killed you. Too late. Mr. Nobody, out.